We have to turn that off. What's up, people? Welcome to the Joe McFo Show. We are live and in action. We're going to get back to our Shadow Boxer Sundays, is what I decided to call it today. I just made it up today. How you guys like it? Shadow Boxer Sundays. Let's get some music going on real quick. Let's get some nice lo-fi something or other. Let's see who's in the house. Cappy is here. What is up, Cappy? Thank you for coming on. Get the music going. All right. Let me see. Just want to make sure it's too loud for you guys. All right, there we go. That ought to do it. We got Manette on. What's up, Manette? Oh, snap, Jazz. What's up, neighbor? How you doing, homie? Thank you for coming on the live stream. Today, we're going to be doing something that I've been obsessed with in the last couple of days, and that is doing action poses. So one of the things that comes with creating an action project is you got to design the action. So I did these drawings of Javen fighting an unknown assailant or perpetrator, whatever you want to call him. And I just had so much fun with these. And I was like, you know what, we gotta get this going. So here's some sketches I did of him. Here's a few others. You know, I'm just gonna go through my process and show you guys how it all goes down. And then I also got Atana doing some cool special power stuff. We also got Monique in the house. What's up, Monique? Thank you for coming. Mark is on here. Good morning. For you, that is. I always say good morning. You guys haven't even seen midnight yet. Yeah, it's not even 6:30 over here. So thank you guys for coming on so much. Before we get real started, please hit the like button so that we can boost the numbers. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers, and right now I think I'm at 847. It's been there for quite a while. So let's see if we can boost the channel up. And yeah, let's get going. So what I have right here, by the way, before you guys have seen this book before, but I'm going to be using my Masters of Anatomy Anatomy, Action, and Fighting Poses book. The reason I love this book is because it's literally hundreds of pages of just action poses. And what's really cool about this is if you like the top portion of one of the bodies or something like that, but you like the bottom portion of another, you can kind of combine them. So it's like an endless resource for you to create stuff. So it's really, really awesome. So I'm going to be getting started here. Let me find my brush, my Sick pencil, which is my favorite one. Now, the way I've been doing this the last couple of days, I find works for me, is I start with like a super loose sketch to the point where it's not even really all that clean, at least for me. Maybe some of you guys think it's clean, but the whole purpose of this is just to kind of get an understanding of how the pose is. This is the moments where I can start exaggerating a little bit. Let me change this take. It's a little high up for me. Hold up. There we go. Gotta be comfortable when you draw. Kathy says, fighting a shady guy. Yes, he is a shady guy. Jay won't be fighting shady guys. Also, you guys know my characters by now, at least most of you do. If you guys have ideas of characters who you want to see fighting a bad guy, that would be pretty cool. Or in the case of Letha, maybe like a good guy. So let me know who you'd want to see. Now, I'm not going to do like fully clothed characters. I'm just going to do kind of thumbnails, figure drawings. But what I am going to try and do is have them in the same physique as we would normally see them. So like Javen, for example, actually I can go here. Javen's a little bit more lanky because he's a teenager. He's 15. He doesn't have his man body yet. He's still building that muscle mass. So in this case, what I did is I drew it first as if he was like big and bulky, because that's the reference I found in the book. And then I decided to slim the body down, and really helped. Same with Atana. The reference I got was in this book, and the woman that they're referencing was much more full figured, let's say. And Atana, her body is a lot more slender, kind of not quite petite necessarily because she's tall, but she's more slim. She's more on the slim side, sort of like like a little bit more than Zendaya, but like Zendaya, Samantha Logan, kind of in that realm. So let's see. Let's make this a little bit bigger. So right now what I'm seeing, this pose is way too straight up and down. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to adjust this Is exactly what this stage is for. We're just gonna rotate. Maybe I distort actually. Let's do something like this. And then actually let's redo these legs. Make it a little bit more interesting. One way you can get drawings to be more interesting is just angling things a lot more, thinking about triangles and stuff. And really trying to capture the silhouette. Semi-athletic, yeah, okay, that's a good way to put it. Semi-athletic, thank you. Sometimes my mind gets a little stuck on wording in the middle of the drawing. It'll be cool to see the different matchups. Yeah, it'll be fun. I think it'll be fun. But yeah, so this one's gonna be Javen for right now, just because I've already started it. But in the next set of poses, if you guys want to see another character, I'll show you guys, examples for those of you who might be new, and we can try something else. All right, so we got this one, and then since he's fighting, let's get the other person in here. This is going to be our bad guy. He's going to be probably bigger and bulkier, so let's just start him off on the right foot here. And what's really coming in handy right now is my experience with figure drawing. So I have a pretty solid understanding on muscles, where bone structure and all that stuff. But one thing that I'm trying to get better at is improving when it comes to more action poses and more loose sketches, because when you're doing figure drawings and it's very easy to stay in that academic mindset. So if you're able to break free from that every once in a while, it's always a good thing. And especially if you want to work in, animation or comics, or, work on your own project or something like that. There's nothing wrong. There's no downside to having sketches that are more loose and fun to draw. Okay. So we're gonna have his arm going like this. And of course, I'm not really measuring right now. Usually I would, but I'll say that for the next step. I'll probably move this shoulder up. Oh wait, let me turn off the snap. And by the way, for those who are curious, I am using Photoshop right now. I tend to use Clip Studio Paint, but ever since I got my new computer, I have been kind of jamming out on Photoshop because my RAM is at a decent number now, which is pretty awesome. It's pretty convenient. All right. So this guy's looking kind of on the big side, but put this line here. This leg was feeling a little short. Let's see here. So guys, I don't know about you guys, but this was an interesting week for me. I got up every day at like 5 or 5:30 to work on Shadowboxer stuff, like without fail. And it has been such an exhilarating week because it was really exciting. I was getting up early and I was putting my best energy into thinking about this project, which, usually it's the opposite. Usually I do work first for other people, whether it's my job or teaching or something like that. And now the first things I think about are this, and it's actually been really fulfilling. Although the problem is sometimes I want to do this on my during work hours sometimes, and I have to resist the urge. But I have been known to do this on my lunch break. There have been times where I've done that for sure. Okay. Actually, one thing I'm going to do real quick, I'm going to copy this group and merge it, just so I have a little reference of the body type that I'll be drawing. And this is the area where I'll start going in a little bit more tight. And I'll start thinking about, okay, what's his head shape? After all, he is only 15. So again, he doesn't have his full-on man body yet, but I think it will still Still be a lot of fun. So his neck's gonna be more like this. Ooh, new computer, fancy. Yeah, I'm a little fancy. Sometimes you gotta be a little fancy. Sometimes, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Would you say it's amazing? If I felt like saying a bunch of dad jokes, then yeah, I could say it's amazing. Mark, how do you pun so early in the morning? You know, I had a roommate who was really good with puns. I can't think of any particular ones he would say. Maybe Kathy knows because Kathy knows what I'm talking about, and Megan does too. But I don't know if she's on today. Uh, but yeah, puns. Being good with puns is definitely a gift for sure. All right, so one thing I'm doing real quick. Notice how wide I drew the torso earlier on. Right here, I'm going in and I'm saying, okay, let's get his frame to be a lot more, a little bit more slender. I'm not gonna overemphasize muscle mass at all on this because he doesn't have a whole lot to speak of. Okay, making sure I keep that center line intact. And right now, I just want to double check, make sure I have my proportions right. So there's the 2 head mark right there. Bam, bam. Okay, perfect. So we're good to go. That's the crotch. We got his belly button right here. And then we're going to have the pelvis coming in at this angle. It's looking like the rib cage is not quite full just yet. So let me take this and warp it. In fact, I might even pull the center line over a little bit more. All right, cool. Now we get the shoulder. This is honestly one of the most fun parts of the process. This is actually why I decided to do a stream based on this, because all it is doing figure drawing with crazy action poses with my characters. And it is so much fun. Like, for example, this is Javen's like trademark hairline. I don't know what I was thinking to give him this hairline, but it's fun, is all I can really say. It's really fun to do that. Definitely inspired by some of the shonen manga and anime projects that I don't ever watch or have watched. But one of the things I noticed is, you know, a lot of those action heroes, they'll have spiky hair or triangular hair. And I'm like, but this dude's got an afro. How am I going to do that? And I was like, just give him a big old triangle for an afro, and it worked. So that's how Javen got his style. Okay. I want to tilt this over a little bit. Javen's hair isn't like quite symmetrical. It's kind of, the center of it is kind of over on the side a bit, like a little diamond. Okay, let's get this right here. So how was everyone this week? Did everyone do anything? Did anyone do anything productive? Or was it just a lounging week? I imagine not too many people are looking forward to Monday, but I am curious. All right, so I think this arm's a little too far out. The armpit should be a lot closer into the arm, so I'm just gonna take this, select it, and pull it back in. That, and I probably made the rib cage a little bit too narrow anyway. Okay, so there we go. Now, one thing I'm also trying to be cognizant of, and I haven't quite applied it just yet, so you might not see much of it, but I'm trying to be very aware of my straights versus curves. And the reason for that is I want it to feel more action-packed. So, for example, if I look at, where's a good one? Like right here, with Javen's arm, I tried to make it pretty straight. And that way it feels swift, it feels fast and action-packed. Naturally, he's going to have the bumps over here because that's how the muscles are. But I really tried doing that here, the straight versus curves. and then here as well, straight. These are all curves, and they're angular curves. Don't get me wrong, but that was something that was really on my mind to make sure I capture that. So that's something I'm trying to do here as well. Oh snap! We got Megan in the house. What's up? What's up? Carolina's giving might be balding at 25 vibes. Sadly, speaking from experience. Nah, he just got an insane widow's peak. That's all it is. Jet says, I went to Disneyland. That's a pretty exciting thing. Disneyland's cool. I made more shortbread cookies this time with chai. I already ate half of them. All right. I am trying to resist making a chai tea joke. And so I'm just going to preemptively drink water. Those of you understand what I'm saying. Sure. Chai tea. I love that moment. I worked on some top secret stuff. Yes, you did. I'm sure you did. Mostly for work, but one day was for fun. Oh, that's dope. I actually, so I've heard lots of stories about working at Disneyland, mostly from Smoozy, the YouTuber. I want to know how those stories line up. Can you fill us in? I've given myself the fun task of drawing a bunch of animals and making videos about it. I actually have been checking out your videos, dude. Good stuff. I saw them on my Instagram and I saw it on YouTube. So good stuff, dude. What's up, Joe? What's up? It's so interesting. You know, when I came up with the name Joe McFo, I was unprepared to be called Joe, but it's just Jordan usually, or Joe McFo. But I guess it just comes with the territory. The name is too catchy to give up. You know, it is what it is. How can I get a dirty chai? I don't know idea. You gotta ask Manette. Chai tea. Great stuff so far, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. We're doing action poses today. So let me see. One thing I'm actually noticing, I could probably tone down the rib cage right here. Let me turn off this guy. He's getting a little distracting. There we got legs right there. Gonna have him bent. His leg, and then make sure those heels are kind of aligned properly. Because he is on the floor. He's standing on the ground, so we want to make sure that is all making sense. Okay, one of his legs is way thicker than the other one. This one has like an extra 15 to 20 pounds of muscle on it. He's like doing squats with one leg or something. So let's adjust that. And that's one thing you have to be really careful of when you're drawing a figure or a character. You got to make sure that they're symmetrical in those ways. Not necessarily every detail. Like there could be a character with, with a mark on their face, or there might be a character like Bucky Barnes who has a metal arm. But as far as muscle and everything, you want to make sure it's pretty even, unless it's for a specific purpose. So, one character that actually comes to my mind is, and I'll have to get my water bottle for this one preemptively, is a character named Crew from the game Jak 2, and I'll show you why. Let me get my water. Look how fat he is. And look at his little legs. They're just like bones, right? And it's the funniest thing ever. They bring it up in the game as part of the story. But this is one of those times where it's like, okay, you can get away with doing something vastly different because it's freaking hilarious. Let's see. Oh, my fault. No worries. Thank you, Joe. You don't look like a Joe, though, or it's just me. You're a Jordan through and through. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's Jordan. I kind of, I like Joe McFo because it's got, my full name there, but it comes with the territory. But yeah, I prefer just calling me Jordan or Joe McFo is fine. It's fun. I love my job as an introvert. Being in the crowd's a little overwhelming, but I gotta keep the magic, so I'll tell you more in person. All right, come through and fill me in on all the Disney stories. And I may or may not tell them on my stream later on anyway. Next week, though. All right. So one thing also this phase is for is correcting anatomy mistakes. So for example, this arm is way too long. I would say his elbow should be about here. And then I can come in, put his fist in. And also just want to make sure that this arm is feeling accurate. All right, so now I can turn off that layer. Actually, wait, let me see what my fist is going to be doing over here. All right, so let's do that. And now I'm going to go in and just examine little issues. So for example, this shoulder is still bothering me. So let's do this. Let's move that up a bit. There we go. And then his fist should probably be a little bit bigger. How would it go? Just okay. Had to make the pose for a second. I think it probably look closer to this. All right. And now I can go in and double check the straights and curves and the muscles. So I think this muscle might be a little big. So we can scale that down. You just warp it. It doesn't have to be anything crazy special. And then I want to figure out where my curves are. So let's have this side be curved. Let's have this be more on the straight side of things. And that's more for stylization purposes. It's not necessarily an anatomy. I mean, there's anatomy involved, but that's not why I'm doing it. It's more for just making it look cool. So let's do straight right here. Then let's bring in this muscle right here. I don't know how I missed this. He got chicken legs. That man cannot stand on those. You are actually correct. Kuro could not stand on his legs because he floats in this little machine that he's in. Let me see. Yeah, he just floats. Yeah, he was one of the most fun characters. He was like a mob boss, but because of his weight, he talked like how would I describe it? He kind of had a kind of sound. I don't know what that would be called. Um, but it was fun. I mean, what goes on the stream chat stays in the stream chat. That's true. That's true. And then also Megan says, don't forget to like the stream. Yes, please don't forget to like the stream. I know I said it once, but I'm gonna say it again. Don't forget to like it, or you're gonna make me upset. And I don't know what I'm capable of when I'm upset. All right. So about to say, I was like, don't be giving me tech issues now, but it's fine. So at this point, I'm just looking for any ways I can to make his body seem a little bit more slender. So let's cut in the chest right here. Let's make that a nice straight. Get that angle. Okay, that's good. Then for the leg, how do I want to do this? I want to do it straight here and then curve. I'm trying to decide if I want to do a round up top and flat here, or if I want to do flat here and round like this. I think the first option is probably going to look the best. Okay. bum, 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 bum. All right, let's get those ankles. Ankles are important for your feet. And then his toes a little bit more round like that. Let's get that here. Let's make that nice straight. So now I got bam, bam. I got bam, bam. Right. I could probably delete those. I just realized I could have just undid that. Whichever one of those is grammatically correct, I could have just done that. I could have Control Z'd it. I guess it'd be undid. Right? I don't know. All right, then this fist I can actually put a little bit more energy into. Get this thumb. Thumbs are also important. It'd be rather difficult to draw without thumbs, so I'm very thankful that we have them. All right, here we go. He's looking pretty good. Maybe his foot's a little on the small side. Undone. I could have undone that. Yeah, that sounds right. I promise you guys, I did well in English class. I promise you. Although, ironically, this part always upset me. When I was in the 10th grade, I think, we had a whole unit or a whole semester on poetry. And I struggled so much with poetry. And I don't understand why, because I listen to so much rap music. Like, that's literally what it is, you know, especially like the deeper guys, like Tupac and stuff. And they would always be super poetic with the words. And I would get it when they're talking 15 times faster than I'm reading it. And then when I could go into the class, they would always talk about what it meant. And I'd be like, scribble this out, you know? So, yeah, I never quite solved the mystery of that, but it is what it is. It's fine. All right, Jaden's looking pretty good. I like him. Oh, snap. Mara's on here. What's up? Thank you for coming on. Hey, you know feet. I dreaded poetry. Yeah, poetry as an examinable subject sucks. Yeah, it's not fun. I could have written some stuff for you to turn in with an essay explaining what it meant. Well, you're 15 years too late, homie. What's up with that? Wait, is it 15 years? When did I do that? 13 years too late. I'm ashamed. All right, so Javen is pretty much solved. We're gonna add his powers later on, but first we're going to do this guy. So for the sake of understanding, we're just gonna do, actually, I like Javen in red for some reason. Whoa, okay, take that back, I take it back. Yeah, let's do Javen in red. Let's keep this guy in blue. I don't know why I just did that. That was kind of pointless. All right, so this guy's gonna be the bigger, bulkier one. So first, let's draw on the correct layer. That's probably a good start. And I'm just gonna make him bald to make it easier. Javen's got a fun hairstyle, but I don't know who this guy is, and I don't feel like wasting time trying to figure that out right now because the whole point of this is action poses. Dun, 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 dun. So he's gonna have quite the curve in his back. Okay. Get the lats right here. Lots of muscles and bones activating. This dude does not skip back bicep day at the gym. But I gotta say, this dude, whoever he is probably among the lowest of the low. I don't know how Well, I know because I'm writing the story, but like, what kind of situation you got to be in to just go hand to hand combat with a 15-year-old kid? Who does that? Like, I'm already gonna preempt this. Kingpin, Doc Ock, Green Goblin, all those guys. That's a punk move going after a 15-year-old like that. It's not cool. I know he's got a mask on and everything, but geez, come on. My problem is I can write poetry and play instruments, but how do I plug the two together? I don't know. You're asking the wrong person. His villain origin story is that he lost his hair and it turned him into a vengeful man. That would be pretty terrifying. That might make me mad. I like my hair. Teachers, what do you think the poet meant when he said, close the door? Me, to close the door? Teacher, wrong. He meant he was starting a new chapter. That's exactly how it goes. That's exactly how it goes. Years later, you find out that the poet actually meant close the door. That's 100%. I often try to figure out like how much of this is just you taking a stab at, adding on the superfluous meaning to the writer's words. Like, I really don't know if that's what he meant. Sometimes they do. I remember there was one book, I forget what it was though. It was like one of those 1800s like romance or kind of stories. It was like, I don't know if it was Pride and Prejudice necessarily, but it was like, what was it? Age of the Innocent, I think. Is that it? Let me see. Hold on. I now I'm gonna. Is this it? The Age of Innocence. Yeah, this seems about right. Okay, yeah, written 1920 about this 18. Yes, this was it. So I remember there being a scene. It's a love story, and there was a scene where two characters were talking, and they had a log in the fireplace. And at one point during the scene, the log like broke in half, and that was supposed to symbolize the breaking of the relationship, which actually makes sense to me. Like that I can see that, because that's a really random detail to add. But otherwise, but yeah, I struggle with that big time. Who I've actually been kind of jealous of? Those people who are in college classes and they get to study Kendrick Lamar and Eminem and Tupac. They're like, what? That'd be so awesome. You need to write a 12-page essay on Good Kid, Mad City. Done. Got you. Give you a 30-page essay. Right? So this foot looks too long down here. So let's just cut that up. Yeah, I had that way too long. It's okay though. We can fix our errors. All right, so because I lowered that foot, or I guess raised it technically, let's do this. I'm gonna have to move him over because now his foot is blocking Javen's, and that wouldn't make sense. So I'll take care of that in a moment. Focus on one thing at a time. Get rid of this right here. Okay. Get those angles popping. Let's do a straight right here. Let's actually do this. Make this a straight, and then we'll kind of go in like that. If he's doing this, his fist would be not quite that way. It'd be something along these lines. That's close enough. Let me see. Who does that? Man who's insecure about his lost hair. Edgar Allan Poe is one of those two who has too many meanings. Yeah, I get that. I feel that way about analyzing song lyrics. I feel less so about song lyrics because I feel like it's more enjoyable. Hey, I'm insecure that I lost my hair, but I also might be a 15-year-old, so it tracks. There have been stranger origin stories. I know one villain who got so pissed off because someone threw a bagel at him. That one was pretty bad. And then he wanted to break the multiverse. I was a lit major for a while and examining books and stories that closely can really ruin the enjoyment of reading. Yeah, I can see that happening. You have to be very careful about how much you analyze because it might take the fun out of it. Um, and that's why I also understand when people say they like art but they don't want it as a career because sometimes it can take the joy out of it for some people. Oh snap! Look who it is, my cousin. What's up, dude? Thank you for coming on. Much appreciated, homie. I studied a Tupac song in senior year. What? What song? What song? I guarantee I could probably recite half the song right now. In my college, there was a class that studied Harry Potter. I don't know why I didn't join. Yeah, you of all people, I'm actually kind of surprised. Analyzing any form of creative thing sucks the life out of it, in my opinion, makes it bland. It's like analyzing, explaining a joke. That one's worse. I have a story about that. When it comes to analyzing creative things in general, I agree and disagree. I think it depends on what you're trying to do. Me, I actually love watching video essays on films and shows that I really love, or even books sometimes, because it really breaks things down. And as someone who's, working on becoming a better storyteller, it's really helpful for me to see what other people notice. So, so yeah, because then if there's something that I like, then I can embed that into my own story, which I have done many times already. There's a lot of moments where I'm not stealing like the exact scene or certain plot points, but there might be a certain character trait. There might be a certain hidden depth behind their motivation that comes from somewhere else, and it's really nice for me to study that. I really enjoy that process actually, and the more stuff I watch, the better I get at it. And that's also why it's important to just absorb stories. I'm not saying you have to watch every movie under the sun that's ever been made, but I think it's really helpful when you have quite a lot of reference to go off of. Okay. I don't know where this came from. And he's got an ear right here. Okay, so first off, let's move him over. Let's scale him up a bit because he's supposed to be a little bigger than Javen. It's not supposed to be a fair fight. Let's make his feet a little bit bigger. Give him slightly bigger ankles right here. For my required reading in high school, I actually read the books I was supposed to read a year earlier so I could enjoy the story before the teacher ruined the reading experience for me. What I agree with Kathy, such an overachiever. That is insane. That there was a joke in the Cosby Show one time where one of Theo's friends was like a super genius, and he said, not only does his friend read the whole book and write a 20-page essay for himself, but he goes in the back of the book to see what other books they recommend, and then he reads those books and then writes an essay on that at the same time. So that's kind of what it sounds like. Agreed. And so much of the interpretation also comes from the observer. Everyone is going to come up with something different. That is true. His ode to his mom's song, I forget the name. Dear Mama. It's Dear Mama. Nice. Say that before looking at the comment. Yeah. Don't you know I love you, sweet? Yeah, that song. When I was young, me and my mama had beef, 17 years old, kicked out on the streets. But back to the time, back to the time, something about face, no woman alive could take my mother's place. I would know it if I heard it. All right, so let me look at this without the guidelines. Okay, those legs are tiny compared to this other body. Look how big this space is. Ew. We're changing this. We are changing this immediately. Okay, so let me go and figure out the height. I should have done this way sooner, but alas. So that's one head. Two heads right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. That's the issue. This part got too long. So this right here should be here. So let's adjust that. Let's move that. I'll fix it. Don't worry. It looks weird now, but I think in a little bit it'll work. I might have to adjust a few other things. Let me just double check this. Fire! One, two, 3, 4. Okay. This is why you stay sketchy. It's exactly why you stay loose. So I could probably fix a couple things by making certain parts smaller, like his head. I think this is off too, now I look at it. Yeah, that shoulder. This is why you zoom out, this is why you double check. So I think I was getting a little distracted, so I didn't really focus on whether the proportions were right. This is also why I always say to draw the nude form before putting on clothes. Can you imagine if I try to dress this character and I then realize that proportions were off? That would not be good. It would not be good. I want an Yzma sound recording or emote for the wrong layer joke. Yeah, we gotta figure that out. I gotta figure out how we can make an. I don't know if we can put an emoji on YouTube. I know we could probably do it on Discord, but yeah. I was gonna say something. Oh, so we're talking about overanalyzing stuff. When I was in school, I was a freshman at RISD, I believe. I took a class called the Philosophy of Humor. And I took it because I was like, man, after this class, I'm going to be like Dave Chappelle, walking around everywhere, telling the best jokes. I'll tell you right now, that did not happen. But the thing that really threw me off was the fact that it was so freaking boring. Like, imagine, I don't know how many of you guys have seen Ferris Bueller, but there's a teacher and he goes like, Bueller, Bueller, Bueller. Like, he just talks with a really dry voice. That was my teacher. He sounded and talked kind of like that. And it was so discouraging because, first off, he wasn't very funny. I was like, how are you going to teach a class on humor and just not be funny? And it was actually almost deceptive. And I remember our first assignment, we had to each bring in a joke that we knew, that we liked. And it could be from anywhere. It could be from a song, it could be from a show, from a movie, whatever. And I chose the lyric from the song Rap God by Eminem. And it was just the first line of the song because it had just come out. And I was like, it's a cool pun. And he said in the line, but for me to rap like a computer must be in my jeans. I got a laptop in my back pocket. And I was like, oh, that's pretty clever. So I put that in. And he's like, I don't get it. And I literally had to explain the line to him. And to the point where it was just not fun or enjoyable at all. Like, and that it's forever seared in my memory. So if you got to explain the joke to someone, it's failed. It's failed. That's got to be really tough because everyone's got their cultural differences and, personal preferences on what they think is funny. Like, some people think Kevin Hart's hilarious. Some people think he's just, not at all. I personally like Kevin Hart, but yeah, it's just one of those things that is kind of tough. All right, so this is feeling a little bit better. I still think his leg is a little long and it's skinny, so we're gonna do some more fixes on this. Let's get this diagonal. And it really shouldn't have to be perfect, but I'm just kind of anal about this sort of thing. All right. Is this good? Let's see. Let's make this a little bigger. This feels a little better. I think I think there's still something wrong with the pose. I can always come back to it later on. But this is good for now because I've been working on the same drawing for 45 minutes. All right. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a quick fill for both of the characters. And I don't need these sketch layers, so I'm just going to delete this, delete that, and delete this one because there's no need for it. Do my fill. Okay. And I missed a couple spots, so let me clean that up. All right, so we got Javen right there. Let me actually just put J. Then we got the other character. I almost put Batty, but then I was like, you know what, they have a different connotation nowadays, so maybe I shouldn't do that. I mean, maybe to someone he's a baddie. I don't know. I don't know. All right, so let's clean this up. Megan says not even gonna ask. It's okay. You don't have to ask. It's fine. It's fine. All right. All right. So we got a good spot here, decent enough for our sketch. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add their powers. So with, and actually let me link these just in case. Now, this is the unfortunate part because I'm going to be using Clip Studio when I do the comic because it's just so useful. I've learned out some new tricks that I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be incredible. Is that not? It was, oh, there we go. But when it comes to their abilities, there's some things that are going to be kind of hard for me to do. So it's all right. I'm going to figure it out. For now, though, we're just going to stick with what we got here. So what I did just now was I created a layer effect, which is outer glow. And basically what it allows me to do is whenever I draw, it automatically has this sort of blue outline. And what I really like, this is the part that Clip Studio, as far as I know, does not have. You can change the spread and the size of that glow at any point, and it's super easy without having to redraw the line. So that's one thing I really do like about this tool right here. If anyone knows how to get the same exact effect in Clip Studio Paint, please tell me because it really hurts my heart that I can't figure it out. It would make my life so much easier. And I will give you a shout out. All right, so I'm just gonna do little daggers right here. Little glowing daggers. Let's have some little particles right here. Just realized I'm using the wrong brush for this. Okay, and then we'll do this here. Sharpen these up. Okay. All right, so we got Javen right there. This guy's powers on. Mark says he's a baddie to someone. Probably, right? All right, this one is going to have a similar effect, but it's going to look slightly different. This one's going to be like a dark purple kind of a glow. And the color here is going to be black. And I'm also, what I'm going to do, the way I draw is going to feel very different. It's going to look a lot closer to what I have here, this kind of erratic motion. Now, I will admit, drawing something that feels erratic and random is very difficult for me because I'm so used to precision. But I'm going to show you guys a couple of tricks that I do to try and get that effect. So first tip, instead of drawing like this, like normal here, let me actually do this. Instead of drawing with the pen like this, I will pull it back, and so I have less control over it. You'll see this a lot in figure drawing classes when they first teach you so that you can draw very loosely. And I apply the same kind of logic here. So sometimes, you know, and it's hard for me to kind of control exactly where my hand's going, exactly where the pressure is going to be. And, you know, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But that's one way to get to be random. Another way, draw with your opposite hand. So I'm left-handed. This is my right hand. So we're just going to see what happens when I do it. And the trick is to draw with the opposite hand and intentionally try and mess up even more. At least for the base, you know. So some of these lines might be changed. We'll see, like this one right here. And then once you get kind of a rhythm going, you could go in and correct some of these. One thing I like to do is I like to transition from thick to thin. So if you see here, some of these ends are more tapered, then it gets thicker here in the middle. So we're going to try that. Get these lines nice and sharp because he is our baddie. Get nice and full in this area, in this section. And I kind of like how it's wrapping around his arm like this. So. By the way, we're about to wrap up with this one. Does anyone have a suggestion for the next character to do? Now, keep in mind the character is still going to look something like Javen right now, very loose, very sketchy, or like Atana. So we'll be able to tell it's them by their hair, but I'm not going to be doing, you know, facial details or anything like that. If you don't know who my characters are, well, I guess I can show you in a second, but but I know most of you know who they are. And a couple of smaller particles in random spots here. Let me switch up the music because I'm getting a little bored. All right. So I also want to make his hands black. And let me actually adjust the outer glow. I think it's a little strong. Yeah, there we go. Atana versus Aletha. Ooh, I like it. Let's do it. You're also the first person to bring one up, so we're definitely going to do it now. Let's get these kind of. Another trick to get more random is just draw faster. Like actually move your hand faster. Usually I don't recommend that because I think it kind of messes up a person's flow and rhythm. But in this scenario, since it's meant to not be anatomy or anything, it's supposed to feel like an effect, you know, you could always do that. You just gotta make sure it's consistent. And in this case, I don't want to have too many like curves. Makes sense. I didn't want to say Atana because we all know she's my fave, and you've already done some poses for her. But yes, I want to see that. All right, no problem, no problem. I only have so many characters to choose from, so and I don't know if Chef Fufu has powers. So I have to see. Maybe he can. I don't know. What do you guys think? Should Chef Fufu have powers? Those of you OG viewers, battle for the true best girl. Exactly. All right. This is what we got here. We got Javen against the bad guy. Actually, one thing I'm gonna do, let me actually have this kind of crossover the power a little bit. Yeah. If I wanted to, I could even do some stuff up here, have it like kind of streaming from his head. Almost like a little mohawk. Bam. Excellent. I think pork chop is his power. That's funny. I like that. I don't know if it makes sense in universe, but that is fun. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so we got Atana and Aletha coming up. So let me find a pose reference with two ladies fighting. Let me see. Got some good ones in here. Oh, wait, what was that? I'm sorry. Oh, okay, I got it. Perfect. I'd show you in the book, but I'm about to draw it, so I guess it doesn't really matter. So here, let's have Javen and his villain down here. All right, first up, let's have Atana. Let's draw her. So she's gonna be, first off, let's pick a different brush. This one's a little too sharp. His power is in his food. It's just like Popeye the Sailor Man. I feel like we need some Sokka non-bender energy. Fufu would be the cabbage man that fights with his iron frying pan. And then here, says Kathy. If he gets real mad, he brings out the torch. If you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen. There you go. You know, one time I was actually told that at work. Let me turn on this light. It's hard for me to see. I was told that at work one time because I used to work at a party store in San Francisco. And oftentimes they would make food. And there were a couple people from Mexico there who would always cook for everyone. And me, you know, broke kind of college student, they often gave me food. And there was one particular sauce or that they had that was so spicy that made you want to cry, and everyone else just eating it like it was just potato chips, right? And I'm sitting there dying, and my manager, he just looks at me, he's like, "Can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen, bro." Just with no mercy whatsoever. I was like choking, coughing, and everything. I was like, "How are you handling this right now?" Oh my gosh. Stress level 10. Stress level 10. All right, so let's get rib cage here. Trying to do the Ryukian technique with, he said that, or maybe he didn't say it, but it has been discovered by Ethan Becker that if you kind of take this shape and apply it to any figure, you usually have something really good to work with. It's automatically dynamic, and you can flip it. You can draw this to work for the front of the character, the back of the character, anything. So I'm trying to keep that in mind as well. And I think it'll also help me to memorize, or not memorize, but it'll help me to apply the straights versus curves logic. It's like it's little long. Her torso is super long too. I gotta bring that up. That's not even close to right. That's okay. That's kind of what this stage is for. It's meant to be super loose and rough. There will come a time, hopefully, very soon, where I don't need this stage and I can just go straight in. And I might even be able to do it now, but I'm still kind of searching. I don't want to put that kind of pressure on myself, especially on a live stream. That's a little big, so let's make it smaller. Yo, remember that crazy dude that showed up when you worked at that job? There were several crazy dudes that showed up when I worked at that job. Was it the one with the bird poop in his hair? Was it that one that you're talking about? I keep hearing the Photoshop beep. It's super loud. Okay. To not have you guys in suspense when I said the bird poop guy. Basically, at the party store, was in a place in San Francisco called the Tenderloin, which is basically where a lot of homeless people dwell. And you walk on the street, you'd see crap on the ground, human from humans, and then you would see people, tent cities and all that stuff. So kind of sketchy depending on where you were. So anyway, it was like my first week or two at the job, and if I remember correctly, there was a guy who was walking around. He was kind of looked like he was on something, and then he looks at our door, and he kind of circles around a little bit, and we're just kind of keeping an eye on the door. And then he walks to us, and by the way, this dude's like barely wearing clothes, like his pants are sagging to the point where you can see his junk a little bit. And he's like banging on the door. He's like, "Let me in, let me in." And then another dude joins him, and he's like, "Let me in." And we had to like hold the door back. And me and one of my coworkers, it's freaking scary. And then when he realized he wasn't going to get in, he turns around and starts looking in the car windows like this, and just keeps going. And I have to go back to work because I had like ring someone up, but someone else was watching. And then he stripped down completely naked in the middle of the street and started running. And and he also had bird poop in his hair, or what looked like bird poop. It was like speckles of white. And it was real disturbing. It was real disturbing. But that was just one of the times. Yeah, I guess I can say this now because the business closed down. We had this we had a code sort of whenever we saw someone who looked like they were there to cause trouble, let's say, and we would have to call Larry Line 7. There was no Larry who worked there. There was no Line 7. So whenever someone said that, we'd all have to get up and like walk around the store, make sure they didn't steal anything. And that actually, I actually caught people stealing stuff at least 2 or 3 times. One time I had to run down the street and catch this dude from stealing. Thankfully, it wasn't dangerous or anything. It was out in broad daylight. It was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon or something. So could have been dangerous, but it was not, thankfully. So yeah, Gabby says intensity, intense city. I catch the reference. Yes, 100%. Chris is like, what? Yeah, that's real, man. That's real. Be careful where you work. All right. So here's the next pose right here. My sister said, "What's up, Jordan?" You got 2 sisters, so I'm not sure which one it is, but what's up, Christian sister? You at least tell me if it's the middle or the younger one. You don't have to say their names. All right, this one's going to have some foreshortening in it. So this is going to be fun. So let's do this. Aletha's just going to be like diving, like from some sort of height right here. I saw it, sounds like, ooh, this is a really awesome pose. You have daggers just like Jathan does. This is gonna have to be pulled out a little bit more. The middle. Okay. All right. Got it. What's up, middle cousin? How are you doing? Thank you for popping on to the live stream. Love you much, kid. All right, let's see. So I might have to pull in a reference of Aletha. Actually, let's just pull up the whole character page because I like looking at my characters. But it's also mostly so I can just kind of see their body type. Like Aletha and Atana are both very similar builds. They're about the same height. I would say Aletha is more athletic because that's what she has to be, as a bounty hunter. um, and Atana is just a little bit more slim, just naturally slim. Sorry, I saw this dude. I have a balcony right in front of me, and I can see the neighbors, and I just saw like a hand move, and he's just like cleaning off his shoes. I'm like, okay. This morning he came out in his underwear and cleaned his shoes too. I was like, okay, bro, sure, do your thing, man. Who doesn't like looking at their characters for real? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes you just gotta embrace the fact that your creations are something to be proud of. Some of you guys may have seen this already, but I posted something on my story on Instagram. By the way, if you don't follow me on Instagram, my name is right here. It is Joe McFo as my personal account, and then I got Shadow.Boxers as the Shadowboxers account. Although I tend to post the Shadowboxer stuff on my personal one as well. Anyway, posted something on my story, and it was Kanye, Tyler the Creator, and a couple of other rappers talking. I think Frank Ocean was there too. They were talking about the importance of being a creative and literally just doing what it is that you want to do. And one of the things that I don't even like Tyler the Creator. I'll be honest, I really don't. When he first came out, I was like, this dude is on some creepy-ish. Like, he was freaky, and he still kind of is. But doesn't mean what he said isn't true. And he mentioned something. He's like, what are you afraid of? And she's like, I don't know. I don't know. He's like, you don't even know what you're afraid of, but you won't put out your project, your song, or your thing. And it really spoke to me. I was like, geez, like, yeah, you got to be able to put that stuff out. And speaking of putting stuff out, my team and I are actively working on getting some really cool Shadowboxers updates to you. I'm not going to say when necessarily, but next couple of weeks, expect to hear something pretty cool as an update for this project. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, I'm getting a little too anal with this right now. So I want to bring that in. Yeah, there we go. So let's see. Can have her be a little bit bigger. So we got Aletha, and we got Thomas. So now, I'm actually going to turn this a bit. Get in defensive mode, but I also want her to use her abilities right now. So at times using her power, she doesn't really ball her hands up in a fist quite so much. She usually kind of has them out like this. And that there is a story reason behind that. All right, and then for the hair, something like this. Cool. Let me just double check the height of this too. 1, 2, 3. I think that looks all right. She's kind of pushing it with the belly button. 2, 3, 4. So, yeah. Here we go. Center line. All right, her legs are definitely a little on the wide side, so let's cut that in. Let's move her other leg in here. Megan says, "Oh, come on, I want to tell them." That sounds intriguing. It should sound intriguing. Look at Jordan with the team. I mean, I gotta build the anticipation somehow. Look at it this way. At least it's not like one of the greenlight movies and they say something like, the new Kirby film has just been greenlit for release in 2038. You know, it's not like that. I just said a couple of weeks. Besides, you got when this thing is when we're more ready, I'm going to show you more behind the scenes stuff, and you guys will start to understand why this project is taking so long to just develop. It is so intense. There's so many factors to it. I was working on stuff today for it, trying to figure out how to speed up my process and everything, and working on a couple of visual designs for it. And the amount of thought that needs to go into it is absolutely insane. On top of the fact that, you know, myself and the people who are helping me, Kathy and Megan, we all got jobs. We all got jobs. We all got stuff to do. So it's like an extracurricular activity, even though I'm not going to speak for them, but I don't want it to be an extracurricular activity. I want it to be like my full-time thing eventually. But until that day comes, you know, gotta work with what we got. All right, so with Atana now, here, let me actually, since we're drawing her, let me take some inspiration from this. Some early sketches, just so I can make sure I can mimic the right body shape. You can see her torso is not very wide. She doesn't have very broad shoulders or anything like that. So let's take advantage of this knowledge and apply it to a girl. Okay, now let's get straight right here. Actually, what was the best place for it? No, I think a straight would actually work better here. Yeah, straight, and then we'll do a slight curve right there. And I have another straight. I'll clean up this angle. We don't want her having corners of a piece of paper for knees. It's gonna flow in this way. So nice, confident, smooth line like that. Then we're gonna have this foreshortened. Gotta get going, but this looks really epic so far. Can't wait to see it finished. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Mara. Appreciate you as always, my friend. And yeah, stay tuned for future stuff. I will definitely be posting this somewhere. May or may not be tonight, but it will be somewhere. Okay. So one thing that I want to also make sure I contrast with these two characters, since Aletha is my villain, I want to make sure I use the really sharp angles on her more than anything. So if I look here, you'll notice that I exaggerated. Wait, it's gonna do this again. Wait. I exaggerated way more on the waist on Aletha. Wait, why is this? Goodness gracious. Right here, as opposed to Atana, right here. There's lots of sharper angles and her arms and everything, whereas Atana is much more soft, much more round. So that's something that I'm going to pay attention to as I continue working on these poses. There we got a little bit of the shoulder action. I think that arm's in a weird spot. It's probably too high up, so I'm going to move it a bit. Get a little bit of soft curve there, cover straights. Soft, subtle curve, and another straight right next to the elbow. Okay. Then for her hair, one thing about her hair that if you're ever going to try and do like some fan art of her that you should know is her hair. Let me go back over here real quick. Her hair is not just like this. It's not a U. It's more like a straight, and it kind of comes to this point. And I actually went back into her design and redid them because I realized how much stronger that was as opposed to what I had before, which was this on the left. So you'll see everything kind of tapers just a little bit. So tip for y'all, if you're ever drawing a character who has hair like this, that usually tends to look and feel more dynamic than just having it be perfectly round. At least if you're doing this style. If you're like, I have chibi versions of all the characters, and if I'm doing it that way, then I probably would have it be completely round. But when I'm doing it more realistic like this, or more stylized realism, definitely gotta make sure that I'm doing it right. So let me back up here. Okay, cool. Now let's get glasses on. We can put a little nose there. You know what? I might tilt her head up just a little bit to get her looking closer to Aletha, like that. Yeah, there we go. All right, looking pretty good. I'm liking this. We'll curve this just a tiny bit though. It's a little too flat. It just doesn't feel quite believable right now. But there we go. I think that feels good. All right, all right, all right. Yeah. All right. Now this is the first time I've actually drawn Aletha quite like this. So it's not going to be difficult for me necessarily, or any more difficult than Atana just was. But let's see how it goes. Let's see how it goes. Keeping in mind the physique that I've already given Aletha. So she got a bodysuit, so it's probably going to be compressed against her chest a little bit more than what I had in that initial sketch. Then so we gotta have out there. So guys, I saw a really interesting video the other day, and it was basically talking about the state of animation right now in connection with the strikes that are happening. And it's actually really kind of scary because what they're saying, like what the conditions are, first off, is really, I'm not going to go out there and say inhumane, but it is concerning because one of the things that I didn't know was that shows will be greenlit for one season, but some of those networks will advertise it as if it's 2 seasons to prevent giving people a higher raise or a pay raise in their field. Because that's typically what you would expect from TV. The more you work on a show, the more seasons you work, the more seasons you get, you usually get a raise from that. And I thought that was just one of the shadiest things ever. It's really, really sad to see the condition of the state of things. But it makes me think. I'm curious if you guys have an opinion. Do you think that that's going to mean that animation, entertainment, everything as we know it is going to just fizzle out and pretty much evaporate? Or do you think people are going to work out a deal and just kind of slightly upgrade what we've been doing? Or do you think people are going to start leaving the industry altogether and making their own businesses and doing stuff themselves, like the indie crowd? Like I've seen a lot of projects really embracing that route and just doing like crowdfunding stuff. Like I just heard about a project called or a studio called Studio Heartbreak or Heartbreak Studio, something along those lines. And they started their social media stuff like within the last year, and then they just raised a couple months ago, like 400 grand to produce an animated short film, which I thought was so fascinating because, you know, for so long, the industry has been a very serious gatekeeper to a lot of stuff because of access to finances is not there. Most people don't have, $10 million sitting in a bank account. But yeah, I'm really interested to know what you guys think, if you have an opinion on it at all. What do you think the state of the entertainment is going to look like in the next couple of months and or years? Because as far as the strike is concerned, technically it hasn't hit animation yet, but apparently there's a clause in the union that I just found out about where they're not allowed to strike at the same time as like another strike or something like that. I might be getting the facts slightly off there, but it was something along those lines. So because I think they planned ahead, like there's no way we're going to have the entire industry from every angle shut down. So yeah, any thoughts on that, guys? Personally, I hope that it means more people are going to start their own studios. I've been fascinated by people doing their own thing. Like some of you guys may know, one of my favorite shows is The Chosen, and that show is so fascinating to me, not just because of the content, but because of how it's made. And the whole show is crowdfunded, and it just wrapped up its fourth season. And it's not like their episodes are cheap. Each episode is like $3 to $4 million a piece, and the fans are supporting it. So literally, like we would decide if we were a fan of the show. Just assuming for a second, for the sake of example, if we were fans of the show, we would determine whether or not it gets picked up. And they have no Hollywood interference whatsoever, as far as I can tell. And I personally think that's absolutely fantastic. I'm actually incredibly inspired and amazed by the possibilities with that. Because wouldn't it be cool if, you could just make your own stuff without having to worry about that? Like the other day, I was meeting some people, and I was showing them my shadow boxers I just met for the first time. They're like, "What do you do for a living?" I told them I'm an artist, and blah blah, giving that whole speech. And one of the guys there was trying to convince me to use AI for shadow boxers to actually make it a show. And I personally felt a certain kind of way about that. So I was like, man, first off, that's going to take the fun out of it. Part of the reason I draw is because I enjoy it. And there's going to come a day where this project is over, where, Javen's story ends. And as much as I want to tell the whole story, I also kind of want to prolong that experience of seeing what that's like to be without this project. But he was showing me like, hey, you could do this, just plug it in AI and all that stuff. But the other thing for me is that it just feels so unethical to just feed a bot all this stuff about this project. Like I've mentioned a couple of thoughts on AI. I admit I didn't think AI was going to be as bad as it is. I didn't think that we would see the concerns so rapidly, but apparently higher ups had other plans. Did you hear about the tree trimming? Universal cut back a bunch of trees that were shading strikers by a huge amount. I did see that. That was actually pretty messed up. So I heard a rebuttal to that about it being public property technically, but I'm like, it's real convenient that during a strike you just happen to cut all these trees down. So I'm inclined to believe that was on them to do all that, but it's messed up. And just to see like how many people who are working in the field are not getting paid royalties. Like, I don't know if you guys knew about Josh Peck, but he obviously played Josh Nichols in the show Drake and Josh. But then you have Devin Warkaiser, who was on Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide, two of my favorite shows. Neither of them ever received residuals after their shows went off the air. So though, they're the face of, these franchises, especially Josh Peck, because that show was bigger than Ned. He hasn't received a dime since he was acting on the show in 2007. And it's just absolutely crazy. Like, that's actually one of the curses of streaming services, is that these actors and writers don't get those residuals, which is what they used to rely on. Like the way it would work is you would have a show that ran for a certain amount of seasons. And I think once you hit 100 episodes, then that's when you were syndicated, and you were kind of guaranteed a paycheck for the project for a pretty long time. Like the guys or the actors who worked on Friends, they get paid like $20 million a year or something, just residuals alone from that show. And with streaming, they don't have that anymore. You don't get residual checks. If you do, and when I say, well, back up, you do get residual checks, but they're like $1.89. Like you can go on Instagram and YouTube and just see what people are actually making, and it's really, really sad. And meanwhile, all the money's being pocketed by some very greedy individuals. Too much of a coincidence to be a coincidence. I agree about the trees. I think it's going to be a time for independent creators. I like that. Yeah. Besides the trees, some stuff blocking off the sidewalks for construction also recently went up, blocking pedestrians from being able to use the sidewalks and having to walk in the streets instead. That I did not know. I did not know that they were blocking people from sidewalks like that. That's sad. Yeah. And so here's the other thing. Along with the residuals, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but shows that are streaming usually have years in between that before the season comes out. Like Stranger Things, for example, that show has 4 seasons, but it's been 7 years since the first season even premiered. They filmed the first season in like 2015, and it was released in 2016, I believe. And then season 2 came out like a year later, and then 2 years later came the third season, and then like 3 or 4 years later was the fourth season. Now all of them are adults. Like the youngest person on there was Noah Schnapp, and now he's 18, but he started when he was like 11. So like literally all his teenage years have been devoted to this, and we've only got 5 or 4 seasons. Now I know that some of that was due to the pandemic and stuff. That you can cut out 2 years for that, but still, other shows are being affected by this. And what that means is a lot of the writers and actors are not getting paid in between that time. If they're not getting residuals, they're kind of just stuck. Like, what do you do in that scenario? You probably got to work, regular 9 to 5. Like, there was a story about, you guys may or may not know Jeffrey Owens. He played on The Cosby Show. He played the character of Eldon. And of course, that show was out in the 80s, but 80s and 90s. But he was working at Trader Joe's. He's like, look, I gotta figure this out. Guys, we ain't paying like that, which I respect, but I just find it really sad that everyone is in that situation. Even Hilary Duff, also from Lizzie McGuire. I don't think she's seen any residuals for her show. I'll admit I didn't really grow up on Lizzie McGuire, but still, like, mad respect. She's like one of the only child stars that I can think of who didn't like lose her mind, or have a phase where she was just like and seen negatively in the public eye. Only other ones I can think of maybe are like the Sprouse twins, maybe Dylan and Cole Sprouse. I'm talking about like main actors, not like the side characters who were in for like 3 episodes. All right, so let's see what we got for Aletha. It's looking pretty good. I think probably a little wide, and the arms right here, side of the body. So let's skew that. Yeah, I also think this is a little on the thin side. I don't really know how to work the liquify tool. Otherwise, I would try and use that right now, because I know it would do what I'm trying to figure out. And this leg actually looks like it's having some issues. I think we need to pull this back a bit, get that overlap. And it says, I am all for the indie content. We can't underestimate how impatient the pipeline production organization part of it is, though. I'm seeing how things can go off the rails when people aren't organized. That doesn't mean I think any content is bad or doomed. I just wonder how artists can organize properly in order to make big productions. A lot of these people are leveraging industry experience to make their own studios, not starting from absolutely nothing. That is absolutely true. And that's a concern I have as well, because there are some people who genuinely don't want to work in the industry for whatever reasons. Maybe they don't want to pay LA's expensive prices, which Trust me, guys, it is expensive to be out here. I was looking at gas the other day; it was $6 a gallon. I couldn't believe it. Um, Thankfully, I know where to get the cheap gas, but it's absolutely insane. Like for those people who don't want to do that, how do they get ahead? You know, the only way I can think of is if you just happen to go viral on TikTok or Instagram or something like that. And quite honestly, the algorithm is just that. It's an algorithm. Like it doesn't have emotions. It just, you know, it just spits out what they think people want to see, and you don't really have that much control over it. I mean, outside of making a video that you think is good, but you know, like who would have thought certain people were going to go viral? Like, what's the dude's name? Kobby Lane. Like, who would have thought dude was going to be the biggest TikToker ever? You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting world. But personally, if you're going to ask me, I would like to see more indie projects coming out. I would like to see people who are just simply passionate about the projects that they're doing and building based off of that. I think it's much more admirable and it's more ambitious, and you just have that freedom. Like that's why I was talking about Dallas Jenkins for the show The Chosen a second ago, because that's basically what they're doing. They're doing something very ambitious that a lot of people aren't able to pull off. Most people aren't able to pull off, you know? And yeah, I'm really curious to see how it all goes, especially if you want to do animation or a video game. Like those are the types of projects you need other people. Like sure, you could technically make an animation yourself, but you probably won't get very far unless you're getting paid full-time prices, or you're planning to finish it when you're 80. You know, that's why a lot of people go to comics first, because it's easier to tell the whole story when you don't have to worry about 24 frames a second. Okay, so I don't think I need this layer. I don't need this layer. All right, let's get Atomic Powers going. So we're gonna get this yellow. All right, so the way I like to do first stuff is it's very angular, and I won't say 90-degree angle for everything. That's not necessarily true, but very precise. Fun part though, I can kind of make it up however I see fit right now, because y'all don't even know what this means. I'm the creator. I do what I want. Let's delete that a little bit. I think I should actually turn her mask a little bit to the side so she's actually looking at her. Do I feel like redrawing this though? I don't want to have to redraw it, but I think I might have to, depending on, whoop, that's not what I wanted. See how well I can warp this thing. Oh, something else about the strike I just thought about too. Next year is going to be a really boring year for content. Let me tell you, all the months that it's been like 3 or 4 months now since the strikes. And you can't have a show without writers, first of all. Like, you have nothing without writers. Same with actors, too. You can't do anything without actors either. But writers are generally the first step, right? And unless you're doing like a Whose Lines in Anyway or something, maybe that's a little bit different because it's more improv. But it's going to be real, real shallow, in my opinion. All right. I got to admit, I still have to develop what Aletha's powers look like. So we're going to do something random here. So I'm not exactly sure. I'm pretend like I drew a dagger on the other layer. Nice, that layer. All right. We got our girls Aletha and Atana. Dun 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 dun. Save this before I forget. The good thing about being bored, at least for creators, is that you actually get to create stuff. That's true. Well, what I actually forgot to finish my thought. What I think is going to end up happening, I think people are going to just turn to TikTok and YouTube more now than ever. Now more than ever, because we have the ability to create movies on our phones if we wanted to. Like, if you really took the time out to do it, you could easily figure it out. And I'm real curious to see how next year's going to pan out. All right, let's do another one. I think we got time for one more. So instead of two characters, let's just focus on one. Let me see. Any character preferences, y'all? Any character preferences? Wasn't the rise of reality TV like Jersey Shore in response to a writer's strike? Yes, that's true. They were like, nobody's writing anything. Let's get the most crazy people we can find and film them. Yes, that's actually 100% true. That's why in like 2007, 2008, you started seeing shows like The Flavor of Love and I Love New York and the Tia Tequila show, or Tila Tequila. I forget how you say her name. All that stuff came from the writer's strike. That's also why certain shows didn't go so well. There's a show called Heroes, which was really, really good in the first season. I never finished the series, but from what I've heard, it dropped off in the quality a lot, and they say a lot of that was because of the writer's strike. Does Ishnu fight like Rafiki? A question, not a request yet. Rafiki doesn't fight though. That's the thing. I will say this though. He is Javen's instructor, and Rafiki was a big inspiration because I just kept picturing how Rafiki would hit Simba on the head, and I kind of see Ishnu doing that with Javen every once in a while. That's what happened to Heroes. That's sad, man. Heroes was good. Yeah, it's really sad. But that's just the nature of the beast, you know. So that's the scary thing about the industry is you can't always control everything. I just realized my sign is cut off. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Rafiki is like a kung fu master. He's awesome. I love Rafiki. I just don't remember him being a fighter. Was he a fighter? Oh wait, no wait. There was that scene where he beat up all the hyenas, right? Am I remembering that correctly? It's been a long time since I saw Lion King. So in that case, a little bit. Yeah, Ishnu's definitely going to be in the heat of battle. Let me find a good. Actually, you know what? I just realized I haven't even drawn Ishnu in this, so let me find a good pose for him. Maybe find someone with a staff or something similar. Ooh, perfect. I got it. I know what he's going to do. Let me label these real quick. Kira says, I want to see more Aletha in action. Oh, okay. Well, how about this? We'll do. Can I do both of them? Let's do Rafiki first. I'm not. We'll do Ishnu first, and then if there's time, we'll do Aletha. I will say, I will say this: I only got 3 hours of sleep last night, so it's kind of a miracle that I'm actually able to function right now. Um, so we'll see how much my stamina pays off. Which realistically is weird because where did he learn kung fu in Africa? How? You know what, man? If you ask too many questions, you're just gonna have some issues. Um, can't be doing stuff like that, man. All right, where's my Ishnu reference? Yeah, don't ask questions you don't want to know the answers to, Brad. But we love Rafiki in this household. We love Rafiki. Simba. So we're gonna do a down shot right here, which means we're gonna be looking down at him. He's gonna be kind of holding his staff like this. That's his staff right there. I swear, y'all, this book was so worth the money. I am not even kidding. This was $40, and it is how many pages? 662 pages of style and action poses. Like, where in the world do you get that? This goes back to our overanalyzing conversation earlier. You know what? Yeah, like there's certain things. I think I heard this somewhere. I don't know if it was a YouTube video or it was a conversation I had, but I heard that every project is able to break one rule. Like something that just doesn't make sense, right? So, for example, in Marvel, you have superheroes and mutants and stuff like that. Like you can have that. It's a rule you break. In Harry Potter, you have magic. In other projects, it could be maybe you can go back in time or something. But if you're going to do that, you just have to make sure you're consistent in how you portray it. That is the challenge. So, not that, they're necessarily breaking rules in Lion King like that. But outside of the fact that they are talking animals. But yeah, that's something that's fun to think about. Okay, these knees are too long here. All right, his staff kind of has the zigzag right here, designed to look like a heart monitor. Ishnu was once a doctor before he retired. I just realized his afro is going to be covering up his arm, unfortunately. His hair is too big. What I can do, I can move his arm up or his hand up like this. Then could probably have this be a little bit closer if I wanted to. So let's take this, move it just like that, and move his hand up. All right. Ishnu is really fun to draw. He's just super complex. I'm gonna change the song again. One of these days I'll be able to have copyright music on. It's gonna be an amazing time. Cages in his ear. I'm not gonna worry too much about facial features right now. Now Ishnu's an older guy, so his muscles are kind of like Javen's. He's kind of frail. Well, maybe not frail, but he's on the skinnier side. Doesn't have a whole lot of muscle mass. Still a strong dude. Probably I envision him being like one of those guys you see living on the islands who's just super healthy and can breathe underwater for 7 minutes even though no one asked him to. That kind of stuff. So the other thing is we'll never see Ishnu's like legs really. So already this is going to be interesting. I think I've never played this song. Kind of like it though. Okay, not bad, not bad. Okay, so let's get this right here. That elbow. And he's gonna have to be holding the staff naturally. By the way, Mark, I just thought of a solution to your Rafiki being a Kung Fu master. Maybe Yasuke taught him. Maybe Yasuke was hanging out in the Pride Lands and Rafiki was watching him before Yasuke went to Japan. Ishnu's staff is Pikachu shaped. I have also never seen a single episode of Pokemon. That's funny. I could see where you would say that's Pikachu shaped. That's funny. I was not going for that at all, but that's funny that I don't mind that reference. I've seen episodes of Pokemon before, but I didn't like get into it. Like it used to come on at like 9 o'clock when I was maybe in the third or fourth grade or something, and I would watch an episode, but I never knew what was going on. I was just like, oh, cool, there's animals. But I never played any of the games really. I do remember one of my friends had a Game Boy game back in the day, like Game Boy Color game, and it was like one of those Pokemon tournaments. This is like 1998 or something. And I remember barely knowing how to read, and I would just play the tournament, and I just kept scratching all the characters. I didn't know what anything else was yet. Mark says, but you know what? I can't wait to see a little movie that came out recently that everyone cannot shout about. Rhymes with Minto. Minto, the Snyderverse. Hold on a second. You mean you haven't seen that yet? Bruh. Bruh. Oh my gosh. You know what I need to see is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I heard it was like a 9 out of 10. And that movie just looks really, really good. But bruh, get on your game, man. What you doing? Okay, so we got Ishni's hair right here. Let's just draw his part. Or it's not really a part, it's like a band or something. Just draw a big old frown on him. Mark says no, I meant across. Oh my gosh. Mark gets a pass. He talked about the local theater situation. Nobody else is exempt. Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. You lucky, man. You lucky on that front. About to book a flight out there myself. Be like, yo, why the disgrace? Why is this the case? But Megan's right. Everyone else, no excuse. No excuses. No excuses. I don't know why I made my voice do that. I apologize. Ishni's hair is also fun to draw, so that's why I'm doing this now. His calf muscles are not that big, but it'll do. Alright, so in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure that everything lines up properly. Maybe drawing something like a staff, or if he's holding a cup, or whatever the case is, you want to make sure that their hands are accurately showing what can happen. Okay, that matches. That's good enough right there. You can always enlarge these moments. And book that flight, Jordan. We'll go to the Masai Mara to sketch for fun like Aaron Blaze. Oh, that actually sounds pretty dope. Also, on the Yasuke thing, Yasuke is actually Japanese samurai, so he wouldn't know Kung Fu either. Oh, dang it. Well, there goes my theory. Maybe they just never wrote about it. Maybe it was a secret he was keeping from everyone. Or I could just be grasping at very, very thin straws. Kathy's like, Mark knows his stuff. He does. My excuse is that I'm making the stuff up as I go while drawing on a stream. But everyone else here doesn't have an excuse. And then he's got the little bags of I always thought these were seeds of some sort. Maybe like pomegranate seeds, or that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but it's something. He's got something in there. All right. I'm looking at this. Something about his head feels a little too far off to the side, so we're going to adjust that. Yeah, there we go. Let's merge these together. Looking nice and action packed. Got lots of sharp angles in here, which I like. You guys know I like seeing that. So now what I'm going to do, it's getting late here. I probably won't make the stream next week, but it's for exciting reasons. Great stream, Jordan. Thank you, Megan. I appreciate you coming on as always. And I do know the reasons. Best of luck. Ishni playing street hockey. I can't unsee it. Sorry. Oh my gosh, that actually is awesome. I don't know very many black people that play street hockey, but that's an awesome idea. He would be so competitive too. We gotta make it canon now. All right. Let's do Ishnu right now. So we're gonna do, the outer glow is gonna be a green, but the inner color is gonna be more of a yellow. Let's adjust for this. Not quite the right yellow. It's getting closer. I need a soft round brush, I think. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Actually, let's put Ben's hands. It's a little heavy. So let me make another layer behind. And we're going to do a softer glow. Bam! My boy Ish is looking kind of tight. He needs some clothes, but, you know, aside from that, he's looking kind of cool. Let's raise his face a little bit. Kathy says he would destroy everyone. Swamp hockey, probably, because he's always barefoot and he can slide on the muddy ground. Make it a side quest, Jordan. That's actually not a bad idea. I like that. Ishnu's secretly like the best hockey player. There's our puck. He's just blasting it. Or Javen's wax on, wax off training. I like that. Javen's on. Wax on, wax off. A question that you probably won't answer: how did Javen even meet Ishnu? That will be revealed in episode 1 of the comic. But I will not answer it now. Okay, let's do a little bit more. A little more of this. It's probably considered cheating, what Ishnu is doing right now. But it's okay. All right. I think we're probably going to call it for this evening, though. It's getting late, and I'm still running on fumes. But we got some good stuff today. We got some cool action poses. First, we had Javen fighting the baddie, right? And then we got Atana and Aletha going at it. And we got Ishnu cheating in hockey. So I personally had a lot of fun with this. I don't know about y'all, but I enjoyed myself. Mark says, all right, keep your secrets. You know what? I will be keeping my secrets, but only for a little while longer, guys. Trust and believe. We're making progress, okay? I know it sounds, like I said, every single week, but it's true. It's true. And once you guys hopefully see how massive this project is overall, you'll understand why I have to take quite a while to be building it out, because I want to do it right, you know? So with that said, time to head out. Kathy's clapping. Mark says, have a great week, everyone. Kira says, have a good one, Jordan. Kathy says, keep holding on. Yes, hold on tight, hold on tight. It's going to be cool. It's going to be cool. Trust me. All right, guys. You all have a good one. Thank you for joining the stream. If you have not done so already, then please like the video. Amanda, I did not see your name pop up not one time on the stream. What the heck? I didn't even know you were on here, but thank you for watching. All right, guys, you have a good night. If all else goes well, I'll see you next Sunday, same time, same Shadowboxing Sunday channel. All right, peace.